police, from my understanding, when I spoke to them earlier today, were absolutely trawling through, and there's lots of evidence everywhere, as you can imagine. Things are recorded. Absolutely, there will be. That's the police job to do, and I believe they're on with that. That those people that were doing and were part of the disorder will absolutely be dealt by the police channels, and I think that work has started already.
Another very important domestic story which happened last night in Leeds. There were these big riots in Leeds last night. There were buses set fire to, police cars were flipped over. Now, it's reported that the violence broke out over local children being taken into care, and there's been lots of kind of rampant speculation on social media about what's happened. Tracy Brabin, who is the Mayor of West Yorkshire, has condemned the rioting last night, which took place in an area called Harehills in Leeds, and the Home Secretary Yvette Cooper has described last night's events as disgraceful, saying those responsible must feel the full force of the law. Well, somebody who was really involved last night, who was kind of helping to try and manage the situation, is local Labour councillor for that area, Salma Arif. Salma, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, afternoon, Aisha.
So just tell us, what caused this? What happened?
So look, there's a lot of details still emerging, but effectively the incident involved it was an isolated incident where a family early in the day were visited by care services. Unfortunately, I can't go into too much detail of the particular case, but that then led to disorder and damages to the initial police vehicles, and it sort of escalated from there, really. A bit further up, more people sort of came from outside the area as well, and it was incredibly difficult night for us as a community. Whilst there were lots of people there causing the disorder, there were also lots of people there trying to calm the situation down as well.
And has the rioting stopped now?
It has, yes. I've been there all morning. I'm just, in fact, with the family at the moment, and it has. The community is just as much as shock. Obviously, we've got a lot of attention in the area, a lot of it unwanted, to be honest with you. And yes, it has calmed down. We're doing all we can to support the family, working with the services, with the partners like the police, to make sure the community is resilient, is able to calm down, and is able to come together in these really unfortunate circumstances.
Now, I mean, that area is a very mixed area. There's lots of different communities. It's also quite a poor area in Leeds, inner city. And as you say, the understanding is that some children were being taken into care by agency workers, and things sort of really kicked off after that. But there's been lots of speculation on the media saying that, you know, this was caused by British Asians, by British Muslim people. Other people have been blaming the Romanian community. What did you see going on there?
Yeah, look, I was privy to some of that playing out, but at the very same time sort of involved in the immediate sort of actions that were happening. And yes, it has initially it didn't help, unfortunately, with the far right tweeting, and that the Muslims were rioting, or a different community. I think it's really important, Aisha, that we don't scapegoat a particular community. There was an isolated incident that unfortunately led to disorder, and it did get out of hand, and it was extremely heartbreaking, difficult.
But would you? I mean, I totally agree with you, and I think this kind of jumping to scapegoat Muslims immediately. I'm from a Muslim background is terrible. Is absolutely terrible. I mean, there probably were, though, some people doing bad behaviour. Do you condemn that? I mean, that's been condemned by Tracy Brabin, by Yvette Cooper.
So absolutely, that sort of behaviour it's not acceptable. Absolutely, 100%, I condemn it. But what I'd like to say, actually, it was young Muslim boys who came at the end of the night with a bucket full of water and were putting the fires out. So I think that's really important that we get that across as well. And as I said earlier, as many people came to, and there was disorder, and you can't escape from that, and that was absolutely condemned. That as a local council, that's absolutely unacceptable. But what we also saw, whilst we saw a very ugly side of Harehills, we saw a beautiful side of the community coming together and asking everybody to just back off. Yeah. Let's not allow this to get out of hand.
But I mean, obviously, just the reality of the world. The small number of people who do bad things cause a lot of damage, which is of course hurts a lot of people, which is why we're talking about it. What happens now? What needs to be done to make sure this doesn't happen again? Because clearly there are tensions in that community.
Yeah, look, just to make it really clear, there were no, and I've been asked this question, there were no sort of tensions leading up to this event at all between the communities. Harehills, as you rightly said so, is a very multicultural, diverse area of inner city Leeds. I was born here, I was raised here, and actually everybody pretty jolly gets on with each other. There are concerns, there is deprivation, there's poverty. Yes, there are those challenges, but generally speaking, everybody really thrives in the area. What we need to do immediately, look, the circus is in town, it's going to leave tomorrow, we've got to pick up the pieces, Aisha, and there's a lot of resilience building around the community that we've got to do, which is inherently there. We've got to support the family, we've got to support the community, we've got to ensure, as you've said as well rightly, we can't scapegoat any particular community, and we've got to learn lessons, and we've got to reflect.
And will action also be taken against the people who did riot and cause criminal damage?
So that the police, from my understanding, when I spoke to them earlier today, were absolutely trawling through, and there's lots of evidence everywhere, as you can imagine. Things are recorded. Absolutely, there will be. That's the police job to do, and I believe they're on with that. That those people that were doing and were part of the disorder will absolutely be dealt by the police channels, and I think that work has started already.
Well, look, Salma, really interesting to speak to you because, as you say, you're right at the heart of this. You're a councillor for that area. You were on the ground last night. Really good to catch up and get your perspective. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
That's Salma Arif, who is a councillor for Harehills. And of course, we saw a lot of trouble there last night.